His story didn't begin in a stadium. It began in the shadows, before the bat flips, before the hype, before the chaos. Yasiel Puig had already survived things no athlete should ever have to face: traffickers, cartels, threats, betrayal, and a system that treated him like property long before MLB ever knew his name. And somehow, he still became a star. What came later, the highlights, the meltdowns, the headlines, only made sense once you learned everything he had to outrun just to touch a baseball in freedom. This is the most dangerous, unbelievable, chaotic, and heartbreaking story Major League Baseball has ever seen. Yasiel Puig was never supposed to have a normal road to baseball success. His life spiraled through danger long before he ever took a step in a big league clubhouse. The world met him as the wild horse, the explosive, unpredictable, electrifying Dodger who lit up MLB from the moment he arrived. But behind that, lightning was a storm nobody truly understood. Puig's journey didn't start with scouts praising his swing. It began with government surveillance. At just 17 years old, he wasn't just competing, he was dominating fully grown men in Cuba's top league. His talent wasn't just obvious, it was threatening. By 19, he was hitting .330 with elite on-base numbers, raw power, and generational athleticism that made scouts whisper that he might be one of the most gifted young players Cuba had ever produced. But in Cuba, talent didn't free you, it trapped you. The government treated him as both a valuable asset and a potential escape risk. Every step he took, someone watched. Every conversation was monitored. Every success he had tightened the leash around him. Puig didn't live like a rising star. He lived like a prisoner with a baseball bat. Even the joy of playing the sport he loved came with silent dread, knowing eyes were always on him, waiting for him to slip. He tried to defect 4 different times, 4 separate sprints toward a future he could almost see, but could never reach. And 4 times he was caught. Each failed attempt came with interrogations, intimidation, punishments, and an even harsher spotlight on everything he did. Every escape attempt made things worse. Every attempt made the risks higher. But the dream didn't die. It only grew hungrier, a burning ache inside him that refused to fade. Until one day in 2012, he made a choice that would change everything, for better and for worse. He said yes to a cartel. This wasn't a dramatic Hollywood rescue. This was trafficking. A criminal network with direct ties to the Los Zetas cartel smuggled Puig off the island. He wasn't treated like a star. He was treated like merchandise. The journey was violent, chaotic, almost fatal. Rival gangs tried to intercept the boat. Armed men fought over who owned him. At one point, someone suggested killing him just to settle a dispute. Puig wasn't navigating danger, he was trapped inside it. When Puig reached Mexico, he wasn't free, he was held hostage. The smugglers locked him in a hotel room for weeks, guarded by men with guns, while they negotiated his price with rival criminal groups. They talked about him like he was a product on a shelf, a bargaining chip, a human lottery ticket. He was stuck in limbo, not knowing if he would ever make it to the United States or if he'd die nameless in a foreign hotel. Each day felt like an eternity. Each night came with whispers outside the door. He didn't know if the next morning would bring a scout or a bullet. Then came the Dodgers. Los Angeles signed him for $42 million, a contract massive enough to change his life and dangerous enough to catch the attention of the cartel. That deal didn't end his nightmare, it escalated it. The men who smuggled him demanded $12 million in return. They threatened kidnappings. They threatened executions. They threatened his family. They made it clear that the baseball diamond wasn't big enough to hide from them. Puig wasn't just a baseball player anymore. He was a man being hunted. In the United States, he lived in constant fear. He switched hotels. He avoided routine. He changed his routes to the ballpark. Federal agents got involved because cartel members were stalking him at team hotels. The Dodgers saw a new star, but behind the scenes, they were dealing with a crisis no franchise had ever faced. And through all of that, through paranoia, exhaustion, and fear, he still stepped onto a baseball field under the brightest lights in the world, and then he exploded. Puig hit .436 his first month in the majors. He became an instant phenomenon, a cannon for an arm. The daring base running, the dramatic slides, the jaw-dropping throws. Fans saw chaos, energy, recklessness. But what they never knew was that Puig's playing style was born from survival, urgency, instinct, a life lived running and reacting. Every time he sprinted, it looked like he was escaping something. Every time he celebrated, it looked like he had beaten death again. Every emotion on the field was a lifetime of pressure being released with every swing. His teammates saw the fire, but not the fear behind it. His coaches saw the electricity, but not the wounds he carried. The world saw a showman, but the truth was far darker. But no athlete can run from trauma forever. Despite posting 5.3 WAR in 2014, an elite all-star level season, the chaos around him began to swallow him. Puig's world became a collision of lawsuits, accusations, gambling ties, on-field outbursts, and messy relationships. The wild horse persona became bigger than the player. His past was never far behind, and the weight of it slowly pulled him under. By 2023, the collapse was complete. He pleaded guilty to lying to federal investigators during an illegal gambling probe. MLB teams shut their doors. The talent was still there. The hunger was still there. But no franchise wanted to handle the storm around him. Yasiel Puig, the once-in-a-generation talent who shocked the league, suddenly found himself unwanted. But when you peel away the noise, the tragic truth is clear. Puig never got the chance to be just a baseball player. His resume still shines. A .277 career average, 132 home runs, 18.3 WAR, 2 World Series trips, an All-Star appearance. Iconic highlights burned into baseball history. He had real Hall of Fame potential, raw power, elite arm strength, charisma, and a spark that made stadiums buzz. But he was never truly free enough to chase greatness. He played his entire MLB career looking over his shoulder, not at a right fielder stealing a hit, but at the ghosts of Cuba, at the cartel, at the dangers he could never fully escape. A life like that doesn't allow calm. It barely allows survival. Puig's career wasn't just chaotic. It was one of the wildest arcs MLB has ever seen. A cautionary tale? Yes. A system failure? Also, yes. A combination of trauma, pressure, danger, and missed chances? Absolutely. Was Puig the problem? Or was he a victim of everything that came before baseball? Maybe he was both. Maybe he was neither. Maybe his story is simply too big to fit into one box. But one thing is undeniable. Baseball has never seen, and may never again see, a journey as explosive, as terrifying, and as unforgettable as Yasiel Puig's, a man who escaped a cartel, only to be devoured by the world that was supposed to save him.